Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Welcome to While You're Reforging. It has been a hot minute. Let me just get this out of my way on my screen here. If you're new to this kind of show, basically every Friday, or at least almost every Friday because the holidays, I get together and I pull up a bunch of news articles for our hobby industry regarding Age of Sigmar and a few other games that I think are interesting. And it's more of a talk show. It's got a little bit more going on than just a general hobby hangout. I got topics to talk about and that kind of stuff. So if you are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Drop a line in there if there's anything you would like to chat about. But the basic structure of the show is I'm going to talk about hobby progress, any industry news, and we'll kind of go from there. Games played, which I actually do have a games played. Yeah, I do. Okay, so we'll go through there, and then normally we would end the show with like a major topic, when it kind of varies around from stuff that I want to see happen in games, game design, to just stuff about events and that kind of stuff. But today, it's been a rough week for me personally and for my country, America. And so, I should say United States of America. But what I want to do is pretty much just hobby hangout. I know I said I usually have a topic, but I'm going to finish some of the buildings and stuff that we started earlier this week during a hobby hangout. So that one will be a little more fluid towards the end, but we do have a cool lineup here. And let's see, we got some folks joining us. We got Biofoot. Hey, buddy. We're going to talk about you in a little bit. Fame. Spezia says, huzzah. First time catching you live. Cheers from Cyprus. Cyprus, that's awesome. Right on. I dig it. So let's tell you what, without further ado, let's jump into the news here. Let's see. Yo, Doug, what's up? Watching in work. Please don't get me fired. You mean by saying something? I'm not going to say anything that'll get you fired, buddy. Don't worry about it. Oh, man. Okay, so I wanted to show off some of the stuff I've been painting. If you don't know, I've been painting quite a bit of Star Wars Legion lately. It is, I'm going to be honest, probably some of my favorite models. Not because they are technically the best in terms of like the crispest detail and that kind of stuff, but I mean they're my favorite in terms of, for the price point, how much entertainment value I got out of building and painting them, right? That's my metric when it comes to painting these kinds of things. So I'm having an absolute blast. So I bought the Clone Wars starter set. So I have the Clone Troopers I'm going to do next. I'm actually a little more excited for them, to be honest, now that I've learned more about the game and how all the factions play. What I'd really like to do now with that insight is I really want to build Empire. So like Darth Vader and that kind of stuff. Just because that faction has the most diversity of models when it comes to like foot troops and, the speeder bikes and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's part nostalgia. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. But part of it also is just that they're great models that really represent what they're trying to do. So we're going to go through some of the stuff I've been painting here. We got a unit of, these are B2 Super Battle Droids, which if you've ever played Republic Commando, were the bane of my existence in that game. If you haven't played Republic Commando, it is probably one of the best Star Wars titles ever. Like, I just freaking love that game. It's just a first-person shooter adventure thing, and you just act as a clone, I don't know, clone like squad, a specialist squad, where you all have different weapons and that kind of stuff. It's great. Take a sip of coffee here. A few more battle droids. Yeah. Hey, United Zen. Hey, buddy. So we're going to go through here. Now I have my, this is Count Dooku and Jala Grievous. We got these guys. I like them. I will say, Dooku model, awesome. Grievous model, I hated putting these arms together. They just did not glue well, but he looks fine now. And also, I'm not sure why, but the lighting from my camera got real weird. Almost like there was a light pointing back at the camera. Like, I don't know if that white background, it's never done it before, but everything just looks very like soft, and it's not. The colors don't really represent what I'm trying to show off here. We got a pair of Droidicas, and man, they were probably the toughest things to build, not because the models are complicated, but because the instructions are terrible. Like, they really are. For everything else that I had to build, like the 2D pictures of like how to snap pieces together, totally works. These guys, you kind of need like a video, like a 3-dimensional, like to show how the pieces look as you're spinning the model around as you're gluing them on, because they were real rough. But they got built, and I think they look cool. We have 1 unit of B1 battle droids, Render, and I like them quite a bit. If you have played, again, the color, it looks so flat here, but they're really not in real life. If you've played Star Wars Battlefront 2, you will recognize this scheme as the Geonosis one, where it's like a red rock almost, if you've ever seen Red Rock Canyons in Utah or something. And so they were super fun to paint. And we have a 2nd unit, because in the starter set you get 2. And that is all of it together. Now I also have, what do I have? I have the big tank, the AAT tank, which I guess I can probably show you here. It's probably not going to look that great, but there's an option to make him basically a leader, which I did for the yellow on the leader droid that I have in there. So yeah, you can tell instantly, like from this camera, this is a much warmer brown. So this is actually what the droids look like. So they look cool. They don't look cool in the pictures, but they look cool. So yeah, that's what I have been painting for Star Wars Legion. Like I said, oh, Junius, are you planning to get Darth Maul? Maybe eventually. My thing is, now that I got into the droids first because I just like the look of the droids. They just look pretty cool. Now that I'm learning more about the mechanics of the game and the fact that I want all the factions, I don't know how much further I'll go. Like I got a 2nd set of B2s, I mean, the big guys, the big silver guys, and the tank, which actually will allow me to build a really janky full army list for the droids, and I think I might just pause there and pick some other faction up just because I want to, So yeah, that's where I was at with that. Then we'll move on. Here are my Age of Sigmar models I got painted, in case anybody was tuned out for a bit. Yeah, it's so strange. Look at that. The sides look very like fuzzy, but the center looks all right. Almost like I had a filter on, but I don't. So if you guys saw some of the pictures I was painting for my Slaves of Darkness army, so I came up with the color scheme first, okay? Basically, I wanted to do a John Blanche style of Chaos Warrior. No, not Blanjitsu, where it's all converted to the 9s, but I mean sticking to his color palette. And I found out that he actually does not use blue or green inks because those fade much more quickly than the reds and yellows and browns and earthy colors. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting point. Anyway, so I started painting some of these guys up, and I absolutely love it. They look much more grim and dark and gritty in real life. Again, whatever's going on with my camera makes everything brighter. But as I was painting like the first 3 of these guys, that is when I saw the story in the Battle Tome about the Abandoned, which if you haven't seen that lore video I did, it's actually one of the coolest like chaos stories that I have found in recent years. So you can go check that on the channel. Just type in Age of Sigmar lore Abandoned, and they come from a kingdom called Sol, S-O-L, from Akshi, and they are like, basically built around the sun as a religion, that type of thing, and then Sigmar abandoned them, and they became all bitter and angry. So I don't know. I think it's just rad. Let's see, Condiment Chaos Warriors. Yes, they are. I think, let's see, so if we got ketchup and mustard troops, I think if I have a Chaos Lord on Manticore, he should be the Arch Brat Regent, or Hot Dog Brat, something like that. We'll mix it up. Let's see. I really love the scheme. It's like they're held on to the Empire colors over the year as they abandoned. Exactly, yeah, that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be like, these were regal knights, and it's not about painting everything black and going to chaos and, dedicating to a god. It's about, I'm just pissed at Sigmar. And if this is the shield and the sword that I got, it's the shield and the sword I'm going to take to his doorstep. And that's kind of their mission. Let's see. I'm doing some Dreadwood Sylvaneth. Nice. Sweet, sweet. Y'all are chatting amongst yourselves. That's awesome. Go ahead and keep at it. Here is a chariot. I actually built him this way because when I got my Slaves to Darkness, I'm not sure if I shared this. I Oh, thank you, Alexander. I love it, Doug. Thank you, thank you. Basically, I bought. There was like a local store that had the holiday bundle with Slaves to Darkness from like 3 years ago, or something now, and it's a killer deal. Like everything you're gonna see came out of that, and absolutely awesome. So there's everything you're gonna see today plus 2 units of knights. So, and then on top of that, I bought the Rokar Gresh thematic battalion from Broken Realms Morathi. So anyway, that gives me enough to run a full, or a good-sized battalion for him, and so I painted him up special, so half his armor's in yellow, half's in red. I kind of wish, in retrospect, I had just done silver because he doesn't pop off of the chariot quite right, but I will say I really do like the model. He came together really well. Yeah, so that is my Idolater Lord on Chariot. You can see, again, the contrast doesn't show up, but it is more blanchy with all the super dark crevices and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it came together really well. I will say, the strings that attach from the handler off to the mounts and then link to the horses' faces, whoever designed that, I hope you step on a Lego, because that was rough. So, I don't know. Maybe some key edge highlights would have made the Idolater Lord armor pop. I can go back and do that. Yeah, I haven't sealed him yet because it's been too cold here, so I can absolutely go do that. Here's a face-on view. I mean, he still looks great. Honestly, the most eye-catching thing is the front of the chariot and his cape, which honestly kind of should be. But yeah, just wanted to show off my paint scheme there. What I love about doing I'm learning to love painting checker patterns. However, with a caveat that I only like them if they're supposed to be messy as hell. Like I did it on the Iron Jaws. I did the blue and white checkers, but I did, like, you know, they're orcs. They're not going to be like master painters of perfectly even checkers. I can't fathom trying to do like what are the Harlequins from 40K, where they have like these perfect, nice, even checker patterns because they're supposed to be like clean and good looking. Like all of these, if you look in too close, like all the squares are different sizes and oblong and that kind of stuff. But when you rough them up with, you know, washes and that kind of stuff, they look awesome. So, and here, the base obviously is still a work in progress, but here is my Chaos War Shrine. And I have a bunch of pictures of him. I'm sorry I took doubles of it, but yeah, so the Chaos Shrine, first of all, along the sides, you'll see the same square checkered pattern as before. One side is red on yellow, the other side is yellow on red. The normal flames are all using contrast paints, yellow and orange and red, and then Hexwraith flame on these little green things that the statue's holding. He's got a Book of Secrets up here on the altar. He's offering a head to Khorne. I still need to put a little wash on him. But the thing I love about this, and the reason I took so many pictures to try and capture it, was in the top center on the actual shrine thing. If you remember from the story, Broken Realms Morathi, war shrines were weirdly important in that story for a kind of a narrative lead that I hope we get into with the next Broken Realm book, and that is that Archaon found some way, or I guess his minions, found a way, I'll answer your question here in just a second, Alexander, to, when a Stormcast dies in some area of it, it sucks into the War Shrine rather than anywhere else. Like, it doesn't go back to his ear, it just goes straight into the War Shrine. And so I wanted to make this guy look really impressive and also undivided. And so what I did, and you can barely see it, I hope some of the other pictures capture it better, but I painted the circle, the dais, whatever he is on top here, Leadbelcher, so he's just silver. And then I took contrast paints of different colors and went to each kind of quarter of it. So this top left quarter, there's a red contrast paint, Blood Angels Red. Right below that is one of the greens. I think is actually Orc Skin Green, because I want it to be like a really, really green. Bottom right is a blue, and then top right is a purple. And then let that dry. I did a little dry brush of Leadbelcher to kind of pick out some of the highlights. And then I went over the entire thing with the Turbo Dork color shift paints, specifically one that goes from like a blue to a purple. And so basically, essentially, yeah, so it has like this weird shimmer to it is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how else to describe it. So it has all 4 colors of the Chaos Gods, which is awesome, but they're all kind of linked together by this shimmer of the color shifting paint. So let's see. Okay, so I got a question here. Are you using Mars basing as just a generic Axie ground? Yeah, right now I haven't figured out what I really want to do. This is just squig orange paint to cover up it, so that if I put basing material on, there's no missing bits, that kind of stuff. There's no white part of the base popping up from when I primed it. But yeah, eventually I'll be doing that. There we go. That's probably a little better picture. You can see the green, the red doesn't pop quite as much in that one, but yeah. Go ahead. So yeah, I think he came together pretty darn well. There's still little spots here and there. That's probably the best picture I got. So yeah, you got, it still doesn't show the red very well. Anyway, but it is red. So you got red, purple, blue, and green. And then we come to my Sorcerer Lord on Manticore. Let's see. That's not really a great picture of him. Here we go. So he's wearing silver armor. He's got that same white billowing cape that the guy, Idolater Lord on Chariot has. And I just put a lot of time into the monster's muscles, trying to make it look like something you'd see out of like a John Blanche scrapbook. Just lots of different shades of brown and high contrast, that kind of stuff. You can see he has the checkered pattern just on his little hood, but the actual cloak and that kind of stuff is still solid white. And I'm going to finish up my little rant about hobby progress, talking about... That's a very good cape. Thank you, buddy. This is just 5 intercessors. I cranked out. That's all. I got nothing else to say about it. It's just, I had them laying around. I realized. So I started the Imperial Fist because I was like... I was just like, you know, I've always wanted to try a yellow army. And I have always wanted to try a yellow army. I got about 3 units in. Got 3 units on my shelf and realized I don't want to do a yellow army. That sucks. They were not fun to paint, I'll be honest with you. And then, you know, as winter kind of came in, I was running out of time for priming trying to experiment with different kinds of primer and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I was just like, nah, and I passed on that. So yeah, we'll leave it here. Some people were talking about the Manticore. So yeah, trying to get a good picture of color shift and effect is annoying. Agreed. Yep. I have a Necron Force that is striking in person, but photographs so ugly. I completely understand that. And you know, when you talk about the difference of color shift paints versus doing like non-metallic metals or something like that, I understand. It's a hard decision to make because essentially with color shift, or let me revise that, with non-metallic metals, you get to choose where the light's coming from. Like you get a lot more control over how this looks in any given situation. Whereas the color shift paints, you really are at the mercy of whatever the lighting is. And for photography, it doesn't always quite pan out. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I got on that one. They were super fun to paint. I don't have any more. I still have the 10 knights I have to build, but honestly, I can't prime a whole lot because it's so stinking cold outside. So that is where I have been at lately. So now we're going to move. I'm going to pause here. Okay, I'm going to pause on a cooler picture than those guys. Here we go. I'm going to pause here. If anybody has any questions or comments you want to throw in the chat, go ahead. I like to give a little pause in between sections. In the next section, I'm going to talk games played, and we're going to just have a chat about an incredibly fun Soulbound experience that I had recently with one Biofoot78 in the chat. So go ahead and rapid fire me, my friend. Non-metallic metal is great for competition, but doesn't pop that great on the table for play. I've never done it, and I have no intention to, but I understand that it does give you more control. Like I understand the reasoning behind it, and I respect it when it's done well. I just don't really care. Let's see. Marxinus. Hey, Doug, are you still working on them Akshi Ogres? I am not. I actually got rid of those. I don't really know why. I just wasn't feeling it. And then they had this super crazy deal on Slaves to Darkness guys, and so I just scooped that up, and I was like, I don't know. Honestly, I think it was the paint scheme I was going with, and I just kind of got a little burnt out on it. But Alexander, have you thought about making an Anvil of Apotheosis profile for your Chaos Lords? I have not, but I would like to. One thing that's interesting about the Idolaters is that if you play as them, you get the, what is it? I think it's like the leader keyword or something. Anyway, point being, I was thinking about making like a special Idolaters Lord War Shrine as is on the screen, by making him a very unique character. I think that would be cool. You don't have to justify it. Oh, that's funny. I'm going for Molten Rock on my Cities of Sigmar. I don't know why my brain just totally blanked on COS. Actually, bases. It's close to lava bases, but less red and no real lava. See, Junius, I would love to see that, because for me, I don't really care for lava bases. Like, when they're done well, they look awesome. I think lava effects are kind of like a lot of other things where it's like less is more. You know what I mean? If you see a Fire Slayer's army where the earth is cracked and jagged and there's like hints of warmth coming from underneath it, I find that much more striking than like huge flowing gouts of lava where it's like, okay, that little troll doll would be engulfed in flames immediately. I don't know. But that's really cool. I'd love to hear about it. Lava bases are cool. I like them, actually. The heavy lava ones I do like with demons. I'll throw that out there. I do like, because I think Bloodletter standing over molten lava just makes sense. Sweet. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to games played. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to leave this up here on the screen because I think he's cool. Actually, we'll find some other stuff. There we go. We'll put the Pimp Mobile up there. So, games played. So, I had a turn 0 of a campaign that I'm going to be starting up here on Tuesday evenings with gentleman Biofoot in the chat. And basically, he was kind enough to invite me to, I don't know how well he knows all the people in his party, but they all seem very friendly and very, very nice and inviting. There seems to be a mix of folks who, they all seem to know role-playing games, which I don't, because I've only ever had that one experience with D&D from Spezia. What's up, buddy? But I know more about AOS, and obviously Spezia, Biofoot does as well. And so, we can answer questions, that kind of stuff. I don't know if they know who I am. Like, no one's announced it, which is nice. I kind of like the idea of just being like just another person, just playing a game. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. Like, I know a lot about the setting, and so I can help and answer questions if they come up, that kind of thing. So essentially, I think there's 7 of us, and like I said, it was just turn 0. So we're just in a group call on, was it Roll20 and Discord chat, just working through building character profiles and that kind of stuff. And mine ended up being a Excelsior War Priest named Vicar Urian, who is a very cool dude. I didn't realize this when I was building the character sheet, that like my guy sucks at everything. Like, that's not technically true, but essentially you get 3 skill sets, 3 major stats, I should say, in Soulbound, where you have your body, mind, and soul. And body and mind are connected to things like melee and physical defense. Mind is connected to accuracy. So if you're a character and you want to have a high mind so you can shoot good, that was the most Texan thing I've ever said in my life. I feel much shame about that. I'm sure somewhere my mom is very proud back in San Antonio. Anyway, but soul doesn't have any of those more practical things. Like, soul isn't tied to physical offense and defense and accuracy, that kind of stuff. My guy, if you want to fight, I'm going to hang out in the back. But if you want some quality thoughts and prayers, I'm your guy. And so, like, I step up to the plate in that regard. But yeah, I like him. I like him quite a bit. He's an old school cleric type. Just need to find his niche with your metal. You can pull off miracles really well. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I do know a few Sigmar miracles, and my guy, because I wanted him to focus kind of the story, the arc for my Excelsior War Priest is that he was sent from the Church of Azir to basically come to this area, clean it up, meaning get rid of any kind of chaos, low level chaos, blight or something like that. Just kind of make the area a little bit more holy and establish a church, or at least prepare the way for somebody else to establish an Azurite church. And that's basically all his job is: go to area, root out any kind of evil, and establish a church. So with that, he has a lot of skills in speechcraft, essentially. And so that's gonna I think be my role in the party, is just support, doing the prayers in the background, and then when we need to interrogate somebody, he literally has like a confession rule. Like I was having some pretty hardcore flashbacks to my childhood of just basically, he's just like, unburden yourself, child, and he's just like, a miracle of Sigmar makes the person spill their guts as far as any secrets they know. I love it. So yeah, let's see. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. I'll get to those comments here in just a hot second here. So yeah, that's all it really was just character building, and then I turned around and made a video based on it. Because it seems like a lot of information, but it really is very simple. So if you want to go check that out, that was today's video of just character creation in Soulbound. It's so funny. The Cubicle 7 guys, they put together a video where it's just, I believe it's Emmett, one of the designers, talking. And it was like a 2-hour long video on how to build a character. I'm like, it is not that complicated. Like that's terrifying. It's not that complicated. It does get a little bit more, like if you choose to be a Fire Slayer or a Keragen Overlord, I think Keragen specifically, they have a bit of a more complex time, because then you have to get into their equipment and talking about basically refueling it and that kind of stuff, maintaining it. So that's a little bit different. But I mean, for my guy, I just I want to be an Excelsior War Priest. Okay, cool. Here's what you got. Pick 2 miracles of Sigmar, and good game. Gives you a little football player pat on the butt and just sends you out into the world to die. That's pretty much exactly what it was for me. So yeah. So Doug made the party face. Anyway, so I'm excited about that. We're hopefully starting. I had to duck out right before they finished the last of the Q&A, basically, for character creation, and so I'm not sure if we're actually starting adventuring this week, but it's whatever. I'm not super anxious. I'm more than happy. I'd rather have everyone feel comfortable asking questions about the setting and that kind of stuff, to make lore-based decisions and actions and that kind of stuff, than just kind of jump in. Andrew Fairbanks, you can leave Texas, but Texas will never leave you. Oh my God, you don't even know. Yep. My wife makes fun of me every single time. If she says something and I didn't quite catch it, it's just a natural impulse. I go, do it. And she's just like, and then she mocks me endlessly because of it. It's just like, now is that do what? DUWUT question mark exclamation point? Or is it DO space WHAT do what? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's probably the first one. So anyway, Dan asked, what's this model? This is the Chaos Lord on Chariot, or I guess it's just a Chaos Chariot, but if you play as Idolaters, you can make him a Lord character, so that's kind of interesting there. Anyway, that's all I really had for games played. I will definitely keep you all in the loop if you're interested with my Soulbound campaign. I do intend to do videos that don't share any personal information about the other players, because again, I'm incognito, I think, but if people find out who I am, that's cool. It's whatever. But yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the news. So for news, like I said, I've been out the last 2 weeks, I think, because the holidays have been extremely rough on me. But we're back in the saddle, and I went ahead and picked out just a few things that really stood out to me of recent news. And Nathan, yeah, we're going to get to that warband here. We're just digging into the news, buddy. And Zimmer, thanks for this update. So excited to get my hands on Soulbound. Yeah, I ordered a physical copy because I like reading from physical books, like in my off time. So I don't know when it's going to get here, but I ordered it. Okay, so Old World, your first look at the map of Bretonia. Now, you're thinking to yourself, Doug, you never talk about the Old World. Why are you bringing this up? Well, friends, it's because you're right. I don't really talk about the Old World much outside of the context of Total War Warhammer 2. What I would say is the thing that I wanted to bring up with this article specifically is they are now pumping out information regarding a game that we still don't know what it is. And I'll be honest, Games Workshop, if you're listening, just talk about the actual gameplay. I know it's still in development, but you got to just tell people at least what to kind of look forward to, because we've gotten maps and we've gotten some images of various factions. You can see like their little not logos, but you know what I mean, like their heraldry on the shields there, and that's all awesome, but it's like people want to get excited for a game and you're giving us supplement material, right? You know, it's not the same. So anyway, my thing is I look at this and I foresee the same thing happening that happened on Age of Sigmar's launch, where it's just like you gave us no information and then you're going to drop it on us and be like, whoa, why is everyone so mad? You know what I mean? I'm just like, come on, just tell us about the frickin' game. Anyway, that's all. That's my rant. I'm done. I'm done because like it just gets me. So anyway, I'm very open to learning about it and that kind of stuff. I have nothing against the Old World. It's a very cool setting in its own right. I've fallen in love with it since playing Vermintide, where Vermintide and the video game version of Mordheim, where you get to like run around in a city. I'm like, oh, I get it now. I just really don't like the way that Games Workshop advertises things. And I've said that, I mean, it's been that way for years, where it's like you're missing the meat of what your consumers want. That's my opinion. Love to hear your thoughts. Throw it in the chat. Next up is the New Year preview. Now, I was unable to talk about this because Christmas Day we were supposed to go around and visit family, but our car broke down, so we had to buy a new one, and then we ended up doing that New Year's Day, so I wasn't able to report on this, but I'm going to skip the video just so I don't blow your eardrums out. Here is the masterpiece, the man, the myth, the legend. I'm going to go ahead and call him most realistic Doug model in AOS. This is exactly how I would ride around. It's tough. I'll be honest with you. I am not the biggest fan of models on models on models, like the Catacross and the Sisters of Battle thing. Like, this looks incredible. I don't want to build and paint it because I don't want to build and paint this guy. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes. And that hasn't even touched like what all 6 of those dudes are writing, right? I mean, I don't know. It's a lot for me to kind of comprehend. But it is an absolutely stunning model. I desperately want to get this. Let's see if we can zoom in a little better on her. I want these peacock feathers, and I want to use them for my Corvus Cabal warband. So bad. I think that would be really cool. So, yeah, we got that. We have one of those cool knight-looking guys, like the unit of 5 that we saw come out with Sigmar. He looks like a guy who's just kind of in charge of whipping the mounts, dude man bros over here. And then, yeah, I love the Cobra on the back. It is a fantastic model. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to pause here just for a second and just respond to some of the questions because I threw it out there. I still contest that the Old World will be to AOS as Horus Heresy is to 40k. Totally. I absolutely would be down for that, actually. I mean, if they supported it in the way that they supported Horus Heresy with campaign narratives and all this kinds of stuff, I would be super on board for that. Cat Rose Gaming, I really think they're only working on the lore right now. I don't really know what the game will be yet. That's... You're probably right. You're probably right. I mean, there's no... we don't know, right? I guess my thing is... I'm just not a fan of advertising when you don't have a thing to advertise, right? Like, you can't get excited about a product that doesn't really exist, or at least we're not being told about it. But Dice August, hey Doug, I played Fantasy for 15 years and I'm a very happy AOS player, but I'm on the fence about the old world. Like you say, no information on what type of game it'll be. Yeah, I'm still hoping for a oh man, what's the name of the game now? Of course, it just fell out of my head. Is it War Master, where it's like a micro scale, but you can play the size of armies that you play in Total War Warhammer 2? That would be so cool. Maybe a dumb question. What if I want... Jay Dirthu, this is a little bit hard to read here, buddy. Go ahead and try typing that one again. It looks like autocorrect got the best of you. John Dillinger, Old World being handled by Forge World makes me worry. Have they confirmed that it's Old World is being handled by Forge World? I'm curious. I like that name, Seda. Fatacros. I love it. Oh man, that's awesome. Let's see. Hey Doug, what should I paint an AOS Chimera like? I mean, chimeras by definition, you can paint them however you want. That's up to you, my friend. What army? I mean, I assume you're using it in either Warcry or Beasts of Chaos, right? I can't think. Well, unless you do Grand Alliance Chaos. I'm trying to think of any faction you could use it to kind of match a scheme to, but I think, yeah, just do whatever you like, my friend. That's the beauty of it. I think they're developing the centerpiece diorama theme they started with Catacross. True, yeah. I don't mind that. I really don't. Like, because the nice thing about Catacross is you buy him, you put all the work into him, and he's a centerpiece model. You're never gonna have to buy a second one. He's a named character. So I do like that. There is a lot of merit to that. Like if you're gonna have a big centerpiece thing, making it a named or unique character, I think is rad. I don't know. You know, I'm just whining. Whiner's gonna whine. You know, I'm one of those people who's like, this model's too good. And it's not that it's too good. Honestly, it's more that I just really hate sub-assemblies. Like, straight up. Yeah, it's Forge World, which unless they start doing modern plastic, is gonna suck. Interesting. I did not know that. Dan said, yeah, it's for your Beast of Chaos. I would say just... I would say probably for the torso and legs, have it match the fur of your normal beast dudes, and then you can get crazy with the different heads and have it be like blue, red, and green or something crazy. Do whatever you want. So yeah. But I mean, I can't, like, I want to just re-emphasize, this is an absolutely stunning model. The statue right there of him holding up like his plate and goblet is incredible. It is a technical masterpiece. I love it. It's just, I find it very intimidating to paint. That's all I'm saying. That's really, at the core of it, that's what I'm saying, is that I'm not man enough for this thick boy right here. Oh my god, he's so gross. I love him. I also love the inkling of a face stuck here in his staff. So anyway, okay, we'll move on from him. First, look at this year's exclusive store anniversary model. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of anniversary models because they don't really resell them later for people who just like collecting. But these models are dope. I love him. Little Cryptek. I like him quite a bit. Crypteks are probably the only part of Necrons as an army that deeply intrigues me. Like, the whole army as a whole, its lore, that kind of stuff, I find super fascinating. I think Necrons are an awesome army. But when it comes to their specific leaders, a lot of the models I'm like, because I kind of have to be able to get into the mind of it. But like, Crypteks to me are the single coolest HQ unit in the Necron army. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I think they look rad. This guy looks cool. And then we have Silas Beastbane, who I'm going to re-nickname like Chungus McBeastbane. This guy is a baller. He is big, he's mean, he's angry. I love the fact, I want more Stormcasts with fur because he's not wearing Ranger armor, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I don't think he is. I think he looks like a normal Stormcast. But anyway, regardless of that, I could be wrong about the armor. But he's carrying a Minotaur head, and it's just like, man, that's so great. By Alpha, I want to see a painted version of that model, but I'm not going to do it. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Do you think the guy with the silver cup in the middle is a Slanesh halfling? I doubt it. I think he's just a... No, I clicked out of it. I'm sorry. Then I clicked out of the Bretonnian one. Yeah, we're past that conversation anyway. But yeah, so I don't know. You don't like how the front of the armor looks. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't really know what's going on with this belt here. It kind of looks like a lion's face, but like if the lion got its face smushed up against like a glass, like it was trying to kiss you through a glass wall. But I love the fur cloak on him. I love the little halo thing he's got going on. This is probably one of my favorite Stormcast faces because he doesn't look like this over cartoonish paragon of good. He doesn't look clean and perfect. He looks rough. He looks like a dude. If a guy with that face was walking up to me holding a Minotaur's head. Oh, Shift T? Is that really? Shift T. Is it Command T? Nope, not working for me. Anywho, I do have a weird keyboard. I have to get a new one. Anyway, so I like him quite a bit. And then we got some store anniversary stuff. We got backpacks, dice bags, that kind of thing. Nothing super gripping me, if I'm honest with you, but I don't know. Because now, of course, that I moved, it's super inconvenient to go to a Games Workshop. The nearest one is like an hour and 10 minutes away. So it's like, if I want to get any of these things, like I have to like save up and be like, okay, today I'm going and I am spending too much money, but on purpose, so it's okay. Control Shift T. Aha! Look at you guys. Thank you. Do I think that this guy in the center is a halfling? No, I don't. I think he's a normal dude, and I can see his arm up here. It has like a cat of nine tails, like a whip, and I think he is meant to be whipping the whatever the heck, or pulling the actual chariot itself, which, can I just say, these guys look way better than the guys carrying the war shrine. That's all. Just throwing it out there. Let's see. Dude Post Up recently bought the 2nd edition 40k rulebook. Have you ever considered doing a series on retro Warhammer? What do you mean by retro Warhammer? I'm interested in everything. I'll close back out of those. Control Shift T. Thank you guys. That was a cool trick. All right, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Just wanted to throw it out there. They did a big update for 40k, lots of points, FAQs, that kind of stuff. People are still salty about not having the Broken Arms Marathi FAQ, if I'm not mistaken, or some kind of big FAQ for AOS. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't played like an actual game of any of these things in so stinking long. It's just not even something I'm aware of anymore, to be honest with you. Yeah. Let's see. Poonzy7, I love the name. I really enjoyed your D&D video. Do you think you'll ever upload some lore videos on D&D? Well, to be honest with you, I'm happy to. I just struggle to find firm D&D lore, if that makes sense, because, like, you know, I do much better with like informational books, kind of like battle tomes, that kind of stuff. And a lot of what D&D is just like whatever. Control Shift T. Okay, we're gonna look at this here one more time because apparently there's a model that I'm just like not seeing. Oh, this guy. No, I don't think he's a halfling. He's about as tall as this guy and he's on the same flooring. I don't think so. I think he just has a huge freaking bowl of food for the guy. But no, I see what you're seeing. No, that's another model. I didn't even count him. So yeah, I don't think it's a halfling. I think he just has a huge bowl of food because the bowl is to scale with the big guy. So yeah. But if he is, I'm happy. How about that? That's the only thing I can say to you. I want to see an even bigger behemoth for AOS. Hey Doug, if you want D&D lore, the DM guide, Balthos guide, and Xanathars. Interesting. Okay, you know what? Pause. I'm gonna write that down because I will forget. DM guide. I don't know. Is that something you guys would want? Because I feel like it's a very saturated thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. So if you're watching this later, let me know. But I don't know. I just like talking about cool story stuff. I'll be honest, and I'll say it here, that on the whole, my interest in Age of Sigmar as a setting has never been higher. Like, I'm excited about it. Between Warcry, Underworlds, Soulbound, and Age of Sigmar, the actual game, I'm loving it. My interest in actual full, like, normal Age of Sigmar games, in terms of, like, having an army, that kind of stuff, probably never been lower. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it comes in waves and that kind of stuff. But I'm very excited to keep making, like, lore videos and that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just not very popular around here, and it's a weird time in history to try and get a game group started because of COVID. So I don't know. But I'm very excited about it. So don't take that to mean I have no interest in Age of Sigmar anymore. I certainly do. It's just the actual gameplay, like, like this kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to keep up with FAQs anymore. I don't care. But I'm still very excited for the content that I have planned. So don't worry about that. It's more to do with the amount of time and resources it takes to play a single game of Age of Sigmar versus multiple games of Underworlds or Warcry, or taking those same 4 hours and playing, a much more immersive community building experience like Soulbound or an RPG, that kind of stuff. So we'll move on from there. Introducing Warhammer Underworld's first Seraphon warband. I always skip the videos because the sound will blow your ears out. But here we go. I freaking love these models. It straight up makes me want to play one of these dudes in some form of game. I love the Chameleon Skink, and I like that he is very different from everything else in the warband, but he fits in obviously thematically. The Saurus Warrior they made looks amazing. If they made a full set of those guys with anything even near this kind of like dynamicism, I think that's a word. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, it would be great. We got our boy with a Pokeball up here, ready to catch them all. And then we have what I think they just wanted to remind us that skinks can be built in many different ways from the same kit, because fundamentally all three of these dudes are just from the generic skink kit. It's just that you can have one holding a blow dart, you can have one holding a spear, and you can have one with a sword and shield kind of thing. So yeah. Let's see. Look at those boys. My brother-in-law is going to love them. Sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, they are really cool. They are very gripping models just with their poses, and they look very animal-like. One of the small details that I really do love is if you look at their jaws, right? They all look very clean, except for the two Seraphon that are using the blow dart weapons. You can see like their back of their throats and that kind of stuff is all puffed up with the air. And I don't know why, that just struck me like that's such a minor detail that the normal skink guys with the blow darts don't have. They all look very samey. But I just like that little detail of like, it just looks like they're actively pushing air through something, or like, the frogs kind of like billow up as they kind of take in oxygen. But yeah, I like that quite a bit. Let's see. New Saurus Warrior looks like it'll be a dream. Oh yeah, absolutely. Looks like a thermal detonator from Star Wars. That is actually probably far more accurate. It totally does look like a thermal detonator. I don't think there's a single Underworld warband that isn't amazing looking. Yes, and that's a great pull quote, because if you guys haven't listened to them, Cubic Shenanigans is one of my favorite podcasts for all things AOS and just kind of hobby related. They're great guys, Dan and Brandon. But one of the things that one of the hosts, Brandon, said is like the Underworld models are just the best Games Workshop models in terms of coherency amongst the units, how they fit into their faction, and then taking those same faction models and just reimagining them in new and exciting ways. Like, every single one of these models is a win. I don't care if you have bricks of skinks that play in Sword and Shield, Spear and Shield, or Blow Dart. These models look better than anything in those kits. This Chameleon Skink looks baller. This Saurus Warrior looks like a god of war. And this Skink Priest is just like, here, take my money. You know what I mean? Like, they're just all the best. So I like that quite a bit. Don't miss the teaser near the end of the article. Let's go check it out. So we get some information on their cards. Honestly, if you want some hobby progress that involves purchases, I put an order into Games Workshop and pre-ordered under the Dire Chasm and my Warcry books, and they literally never came. And so yesterday, I put that order in on the 7th of December, and yesterday I was like, just forget it, cancel it, I'll go buy it locally. Point is, I haven't dove into the game as much as I was hoping to by now, just for obvious reasons. And so I'm not going to go over the card information too much in terms of how it can be used. The art is beautiful, though, I will say. This guy looks rad. I mean, it's the same thing, but like, it's him using that sphere. And then at the end here, we have our little preview for whatever comes next. And of course, my assumption, I think this is a vampire. I don't really know what else to say about that, but I think it's a vampire. I don't think it's a pirate. I think it's just a Soulblight dude who is going to be baller beyond belief. Let's see. Vampire with a pistol in his belt. I mean, I think he can be an old-timey guy, an old-timey vampire. I don't know. I think it's great. So let's see. And we got that. We'll move on here. If you are into Kill Team, which again, I tend to be focused more on skirmish games lately, just because of the time and space required to play them. Go ahead and check it out. Kill Team never really gripped me in the same way as other stuff, but yeah. And these two things I just wanted to throw in because it's a game that's been interesting me a lot lately. As I said before during Hobby Progress, doing a lot of Star Wars Legion lately. I hope to have, I had to cancel last night for game night because we had some personal emergencies and stuff. But yeah, this Monday night will be my Legion night. And then Tuesday will be my Soulbound group. So I'm excited. Essentially, they have two sets coming out. One for clones, one for droids, the Separatists, if you want to be technical about their names. But essentially, it is just a bunch of characters that kind of buff the army. And the reason I want to point this out for folks who only play AOS, and this is a really cool thing that I wish was brought into Age of Sigmar, is every unit in Star Wars Legion has basically a list of possible upgrades they can take. So it'll be like, you can take 2 personnel upgrades, and what that usually means is you just throw another dude in the unit, okay? So if you have, we'll put this in Age of Sigmar terms. If you had a unit of brutes and you had a personnel upgrade, you pay just a little bit more points, and you get an extra brute in your unit, okay? Seems very straightforward. It's like your army building. There's a limit. It's never going to be like a bajillion models or anything like that. But what's cool about this is that you can have, they're creating these support boxes. Again, this is for droids and clones, but they also already have them for Empire and Rebels, of just like, hey, this is a personnel guy who's a medic, and he can help, it's kind of like how you used to be able to attach heroes to units back in the day with fantasy battles in 40K. It works a little bit differently. It's much more streamlined, much more simple, but I just really like it. The way that you build units in Legion, I think, is far more interesting than AOS. Now, as far as actual gameplay, I don't think it's quite as... I just like AOS, I'll be honest with you. I like the AOS gameplay. But in terms of like creating the kind of like a thematic unit that you can put character into and stuff, I do think Star Wars Legion actually wins out in that regard. So, for example, So Jen Sperry says, so like if we paid for our standard bears, but with more options. Yeah, kind of. That's actually a good way to put it. Yeah, because on the War Scrolls and AOS, it says like, this unit can include one or more standard bears. Yeah, it would be like if you paid for that, but with that, you got some pretty liberal choices. The standard bear could be just another bro. He could be holding a flag that does some special effects. In this case, this little droid up here in the front basically acts like almost like a second in command. He attaches to stuff. One of them's repairing robots that he's with. That kind of stuff. I don't know. There's just all kinds of really cool little rules. If you haven't checked out Legion, all the cards and stuff like that, they're for free online. You can go check it out. You can do free list builders. And one of the things I love about it is that it is dirt cheap compared to Games Workshop games. Like my entire droid army costs, hold on, let me do the math here. It costs less than the holiday bundle for the Slaves to Darkness that I bought. So there's that. And so, yeah. Declan, does Marvel Crisis Protocol interest you at all on that skirmish game level? Yes, it does. But my only reservation about Crisis Protocol is that I really like playing with unnamed characters. And even though Star Wars Legion has a bunch of named characters, there are like generic types you can play with, and that's what I intend to do. And that's just a me thing. With Marvel Crisis Protocol, everyone's a hero. Flimsier plastic, slightly smaller sculpts, but totally worth it for how much you get. Zimmer, I think they're bigger sculpts. The scale is definitely bigger. I can show you here if you're actually curious. Let me see. So we got, I can't show you that model. It's a secret one. Yeah, and yeah, okay. So we have our Chaos Warrior, which is a pretty generic model people know. And then we have a B2 battle droid. He is a little bit on the tall side, but he is just, I don't know. Yeah, he's taller. They're a little bit bigger. Now, as far as flimsier plastic goes, I notice it more on them because their arms and stuff are very thin when it comes to the droids. But the clone troopers, I still have them in the baggies. They're thick. They got some girth to them. So I have not had that problem, but I can see it. Yes. So, sorry, Dan asked how much is it to get started. So it's $100 for the 2-player starter set. You say it's not a lot though. I mean, compared to like $85 for some of the stuff that Games Workshop puts out, I just don't think it's a lot. And you get 2 factions, but then when you go from there, I'm not trying to sell you on Star Wars Legion by y'all. Where is it at? Star Wars Legion. I'm trying to find the product page so I can actually just show you how much things cost here. So let's say you wanted to do Galactic Empire, right? So you bought your starter set. Now you have all your rules, tokens, everything you need. You can sell the Rebel half. And then if you look at the prices, like this is a large vehicle, ATST. That unit would, I'm sure, cost $85 in Games Workshop world. But most everything is in the $20 to $25 range, which is perfect for a once a week pop into your hobby shop, play a couple games, and just snag something to help support the store. Like that's a price point that I get behind. Anyway, maybe you were talking about Crisis Protocol. I don't know. Let's check it out here. 1 second. Marvel Crisis. Let's check it out together. I've honestly given it very little look. Enchantress. Okay, we got She-Hulk. And I'm gonna... Oh, where's like a... Is there like a list of like actual just products? Here we go. Let's see here. Sorry about this. I'm on a little tangent. Okay, so their starter set is also a Hyundai. And that seems to be pretty typical for this industry, so I'm not super worried about it. The idea of a 45-minute starter game is awesome. Really do like it. Could not have chosen a smaller set of pictures. My God. No. Okay. No, they're just that small. Okay. That is what it is, I guess. I love the Doc Ock. Okay. It's cool. It's cool. Tectonic Craft Studios. What's up, buddy? MCP is my favorite. I should, you know. In for a penny, in for a pound. If I'm already covering Star Wars Legion, it means I've already been bought by Disney. I might as well just go full hog and... I say in jest. Let's see. I'm trying to pick out some of my favorite characters. I want to see how they translated them into, you know, miniature form. Let's see. Black Dwarf and Ebony Maw. That sounds intense. Let's see here. Okay. Cool. Never heard of them. Cyclops. See, yeah, I know recently, or somewhat recently, I know I'm out of the loop, they put out the X-Men, like the more classic style of X-Men from when I was a kid, and I would absolutely do those. So, but even then, man, look, because I'm looking at this, right? And I think to myself, 2 models for $40. That's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know how big they are. I haven't actually seen the models, so it might be more reasonable, but that gum, man, when it compared to like my Legion stuff I was showing you where it's like $25 for like 8 dudes, or that's not 8 dudes, that was a little bit over exaggeration, but like 6 is a pretty standard unit size. Huh. I don't know. I'm on the fence about that one. That one's a little but the fact that they have Ghost Rider is just a win. Anyway, this was supposed to be about news, and I somehow got derailed. Cheaper than GW Heroes, more playtime, they can do more stuff per game. That is true, because you're only... Tectonic Crafts, riddle me this. About how many models do you have on the table at any given time? Like, if I were to go whole hog into this game, of which you and Dan Dudmish seem to be wanting me to do, and you're not wrong. How many dudes am I actually putting on the table? 5? That low? Because, I mean, if it's 5, sure, $40 represents nearly half an army. Huh. But Doug, for Marvel Crisis Protocol, upvote for Doug and MCP. Huh. That's so crazy to me. So you're only building models and teams of the force you want to build. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's quite a few votes for it. Tell you what, I try not to bother people. We have 84 viewers, and it seems like only like 10 or 15 or so are actually chatting. If you wouldn't mind, tell me if you would like me to actually get into Marvel Crisis Protocol. I would love to hear it. I'm pretty much falling in love with skirmish games at this point, and that's pretty much... You can play as MODOK. Now, I know that guy, but like I've never understood his story. He kind of creeps me out as a model. I don't know why. Most of the superhero games are super tiny forces. We want you to shill for the mouse. That's amazing. This will ruin you? No, it won't. No. Social anxiety will ruin me. This is just going to make me more fun. Okay, so we got... See, now we're talking. We got the classic Venom with the weirdly brawny body. I dig it. Okay. I'll think about it. Let me look at the rules a bit more. Shill for the mouse god. Oh, it will ruin other games for me. No one plays around here. Small country means less hobbyists, so we mostly play GW stuff. That's super fair. Do whatever, mate. Not my kind of game, but go for it. Right on, right on. Okay. Well, I'll give it a think. Nope, stick to your Warhammer guns, Doug. Not including Star Wars. Just because I've already expressed interest. Oh, man. I would love more Ogre lore videos. You got me hooked on them. Now I have $500 worth. Oh, man. All right, Tectonic Crafts. You go ahead and send me those videos, buddy. Let's see. I mean, if nothing else, I can at least chat about it. There's no reason not to at least talk about the game. Anyway, so that was pretty much it for the news that I wanted to cover. And so the rest of the video, honestly, I probably have another half an hour, 45 minutes in me. I was just going to go back to painting some of the buildings we were working on earlier. So I'd love to just kind of hang out with y'all. Alexander, I love the Batman miniature games, but I've heard a lot of good things about the Marvel game. See, that's my thing with the Batman one, is that Batman game has goons, non-named characters, which I do like. I don't know why. I don't even do super elaborate backgrounds on all my characters that I play or anything. Like, I'm not one of those guys who like has to have a story for every Imperial Guardsman or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, you know, having not everybody be a named character is kind of cool. Let me move the chat over so I can see it a little bit more easily. Y'all keep talking and keep rocking. You guys are being awesome. I'm going to adjust my light so it comes down. I'll get whichever I can play solo. Blame COVID. There you go. Question from Zimmer. Have you been enjoying the lore contest entries so far? Yes, I have. There's the really cool orc one that just really, it got me good. I was like, oh man, this is rad. But there's been several of them that are very fun to read. And yeah, it's been pretty cool to dive into those. I have more I'm doing today. Like I said, when I initiated the contest, I did not anticipate such a emotional and crazy New Year's / Christmas. So that kind of took it out of me a little bit, but I'm getting back in the groove. I mentioned this on my hobby stream. We had some friends pass away, and it was just really rough. And then stuff with the car and family. You know, the holidays are always stressful, period. And then it's like just being very 2020 about it, if you know what I mean. Are you trying to make a city? Yes, I am, Dan. Basically, so I want to make a city block. So I want my faction that I play the most in Warcry is the Corvus Cabal, and so they are like in their short story in the I always want to say Underworlds, in the Warcry book, they're like, you know, leaping between rooftops, like basically just yelling parkour, parkour as they go around doing all kinds of cool stuff. I really do enjoy the game, but there's no like the buildings and stuff that you get with the actual Games Workshop set do not sound anything like what's in those stories, as far as building the town of Karngrad or whatever. And so I just wanted something else. And so if you are interested in these buildings, in the description, there's actually a link to the guys who sent them to me. They're wonderful people. If you use the code, you get 25% off. And they just wanted to do that to show appreciation for fans being awesome and me painting some stuff. I painted some stuff up for them and did reviews and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. They're really cool guys. 3D Egos over here in Cali. Hey Doug, have you already read the Tome of Champions 2020? No, I have to go buy it. Essentially, I pre-ordered my Tome of Champions and my Chaos book, you know, because I have like the faction specific books now, or Grand Alliance specific ones. And yesterday it still hadn't arrived. Like, I pre-ordered it and I was just like, this is just ridiculous. And so I sent an email to Games Workshop with the item number, and I was like, just cancel it. I'm just going to go support a local store, and I'm just not going to worry about pre-ordering anything again. I know they're having a rough time with shipping. Everybody is. And I know it was going into the holidays, but like, it was well before that they announced that they were having troubles and that kind of stuff. And so I was just a little bummed about that. Anyway, so to answer your question, no, I haven't yet, but I'm going to go get one very, very soon, because it's a book that I am very excited for. Same, they literally shipped mine Monday. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I also wanted to get into Dire Chasm. Like, my holiday content schedule kind of went out the window, if I'm honest with you. Give you a peek behind the curtain. I really was excited to talk about Warcry and getting into Dire Chasm and that kind of stuff, and just none of it panned out. None of it came, and I was just like, cool. And of course, right before Christmas, I got suckered into Star Wars Legion. So what I'm doing right now, if you guys missed the other thing, we thinned out XV88, which is a GW color. It's like a very muted brown type thing, almost like a brown ochre level color, and threw it on there, and you can see that it's what makes the kind of grime in the corners. And now I'm stippling on, is this Tallarn Sand? Yeah, Tallarn Sand. And the reason I'm not stippling on XV88, again, is because the color doesn't really pop. But this is a very similar color. It's like a good little highlight for it. And so that's what we're using to kind of bring out some of the color. And so when it's all done, this building's going to look rough. It's all burned and blasted out. And there are cracks and that kind of stuff in it. And so what I'm going to do afterwards is go through with a contrast paint and just kind of like add those areas in later. I just want to get the basics of the wall done first. And I'm using an old brush that this is just its life now. This is my brush's retirement plans, by the way. You become a stippling brush. And it's just the way it is, you know? I mean, Vader chokes people. That's the Empire retirement plan. Doug turns you into a stipple brush. Let's see. Speaking of Underworlds, I made a new deck for Underworlds last night. Sweet, that's awesome. Doug, you can also check out Frostgrave, a miniature agnostic game. Yes, actually, I am going to check out Frostgrave once I get the city stuff kind of done. Because I want to be able to play like in ruins and all different kinds of stuff. Once I get the terrain done, I do plan on doing more narrative battle reports for Warcry and Frostgrave, just because, again, it is miniature. You use the term agnostic. I like that. So we can play those as well. So I definitely intend to. I just want to get some terrain out of the way first, and then be able to basically do whatever. One of the reasons I held on to my Necromunda stuff, even though really nobody plays it or has really much of an interest around here, is that the same guy who made Frostgrave is actually coming out with like a sci-fi variant. I was like, oh man, my Necromunda terrain and those kinds of guys, like that would be perfect for that. Like absolutely, that would be amazing. And so that's kind of what I'm planning to do. I don't know when that comes out, but yeah, I think it's like, it sounds very similar to Frostgrave, like the name. I can't remember what it's called, but let's see. What army do I play for AOS? That would be Slaves to Darkness, technically. It's the only army I have. Have not, well, I played them a lot. I've owned the army before, sold it off, and then when I got it again, I was like, I can paint this way better now. And, yeah. So, I like them quite a bit. They are probably the most interesting for me narratively. Them and Flesh Eater Courts are probably my favorites when it comes to stories. And for different reasons. I just really like the Path to Glory aspect of the slaves. This idea that they're all vying for attention, and I don't know. I like it quite a bit. Didn't you have ogres? Or were you thinking of getting them? I did have them, yeah. So I was on the fence about what my next project would be. And so there was an ogre lot on Reddit. On a Reddit sales page for like a screaming deal. Like the kind of deal that even if I just bought them to flip the models, like, you know, sell them again, you could make good money. So I grabbed them up because they were on my list of options. And after I painted a few, I was like, you know, I'm just not into this. And at the same time, I already had a whole bunch of Slaves to Darkness units in the form of my Warcry warbands. And then when Broken Realms Marathi dropped, and they gave you, if you don't know, in Broken Realms Marathi, it's a supplement book, and they give you the rules to be able to let your Warcry warbands be battle line in your Age of Sigmar army for Slaves to Darkness. And so I was like, oh, that is obviously what I want to do. And so then I was like, okay, so I have a bunch of now Slaves to Darkness units. You know, they were always Slaves to Darkness before, but now they are battle line. So I just need to kind of fill in the gaps around it. And that's what everything, all the units that I showed off today is about. It's why it's mostly heroes and a war shrine and that, because it's about filling in the rest of our roster around the war cry warbands. So I do have a full Slaves to Darkness army. It is idolaters, and it's everything that looks rad from Warcry plus a few other things. So yeah. Oh, I'm missing a wall there. Here we go. Let's see. I forgot the Kraith box. Nice. There's a Reddit sales page. Doug, you ruined me. I'll never tell you what it is. Because I want good things for you. Let's see. How good are Skaven in close combat? Individually, terrible. In bricks of 40, pretty good. Yeah, their individual stats aren't anything to brag about, but when you get a whole bunch of them with spears clogging on an objective that you're trying to shift them from, good luck, because they also have so many ways in that faction to ignore battle shock, so even if you kill a whole bunch of them, the others probably won't run away very easily. That's my prognosis. If anybody disagrees or has something else, I mean, there are like storm vermin are the more elite version. They can get pretty nasty in combat if you give them the right buffs, but I find that people typically don't. They tend to stick with keeping it simple with the unit structure, that kind of stuff. Let's see. I'm going to take this, and we're just going to start flicking on some dry brush highlights for the wood parts. That's all. Let's see. Brand MJ painting. Don't worry, Doug. I'm building and painting an ogre mod tribes for this year. Sweet. That's awesome. Yes, it is mini swap. In Total War, they're always running from the battle. Oh, that's awesome. Wait, I don't think... oh, in Skaven. Yes, I'm sorry. I was like, I don't think Maw tribes are in Total War. No, yeah. But yeah, Skaven, I hate playing against Skaven in Total War because they don't just run away. They run away and come right back. And you're just like, frick. It leads to a lot of micromanagement of units trying to be like, okay, now we need to turn around and fight these rats that retreated, but now they're back from the other direction and stuff. It's like, oh, this is so freaking annoying. And we're just putting the faintest little inkling of some light here on these wood parts. I'm eventually going to go back and dry brush a bunch of black to make like soot on here. So I actually don't want it to be super bright. Like, we don't want the wood to be like 9 different kinds of brown and all these kinds of fancy things. Like, this place is going to be on fire here pretty soon, so we're not super worried about it. Just want to add a little bit of color depth to it so it's not just the base paint of dryad bark. I can officially say, though, for those of you who were wondering and curious, the my obsession with Fallout 76 has kind of died down, and a new champion has entered the ring in the form of Star Wars Battlefront 2 by EA. Because I played the original Battlefront games when I was a kid, and I absolutely loved them. And since EA stopped supporting it, it became a better game, kind of, which is weird to think about, because now there's no more real microtransactions. Everything's pretty much free in there. You can play as whatever hero you want. So I was like, oh yes, Darth Maul all the time. Let's see. do you have a special music for painting? No, what you're listening to is YouTube actually has an audio library channel. And so I just turned that on. I put on a playlist that's supposed to have calm music. It's a playlist called Calm. And I just kind of put that on because we don't need to be over here, you know, thrashing to death metal or anything like that. Oh man, enough's going on in the world right now. Like, we could probably use a little. I'm gonna say a timeout. America's in timeout. Putting it mildly. Okay, let's see here. Got that. Pick the edges out real nice. This is coming along. That's the thing, is once you get all the base colors done and some of the washes, I find that these models just go together really, really quickly. Again, I was a dingus and accidentally glued this bottom part down before I realized, like, oh, I still need to get in there and paint some detail, but yeah, it is what it is. And we're almost done with this layer. And I think we're going to start working on the roof. This is really coming together well. I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera, but it is good. Let's see. You're good, you're good. Everything's kind of messed up. It's a year of that. Hi, good day. Really enjoy your content. Wondering whether you can answer one question I have. Nikos, please go ahead, drop it in. We're just hanging out. Let's see. Now, I'm going to do a slightly blue roof here. Okay. Let's see. Paul, my mod tribe lore-wise are more interested in drinking than eating them. And I have a lot of kegs and the banner. Oh, you want to? Yeah, you're all about the beer stuff. Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. You strike me as a man who really loves micro brews as a hobby, which is sweet. People don't do it out here as much in Iowa as they did in Seattle. I was told it's because there's some legal stuff regarding the procurement of hops or something. I don't know a darn thing about alcohol. I hardly drink it, but my other vices are too expensive to also include drinking. It's just like, I could get one beer at a restaurant, or I could buy a whole model kit for the same amount of money. I choose model kit. Let's see. So, Doug, I know you picked up the holiday bundle. Did you grab the new starter set for the Lord and the Sculpts? No, but that is my next stop. Like, the next time I go to expand my Slaves to Darkness, because I still have a bunch of stuff to paint for it, but the next time I go to expand, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because I also want the new sculpt of the Chaos Warriors. But yeah, no, it's definitely on my mind because I did the math on it. I was like, oh man, now I have like an inordinate amount of cavalry because I still have some older... Man, even in addition to the 2 units of knights that I have, I actually still have some from my last Slaves to Darkness army. And so between all of that, I have a lot of mobility and stuff like that. I was like, man, that Lord on Crackerjack sounds like he's going to be a baller boss for me. Okay, now we'll take our Incubi Darkness. And Nikos, I'm still looking out for your question, buddy. Please go ahead. Drop it in there. I think that's the cleanest water jar I've ever seen Doug use. Hey, you know, I washed it out just for you guys special. Oh. Is this not the paint I thought it was? It's not. Okay. Incubi Darkness and Stegodon Scale are so close to one another. What do I want? We'll go Sotek green. Lower, my Stormcasts are going to be the Rememberers. They're saying is, as the soul fades, we will forge a lasting memory. I like that. That's a beautiful sentiment. Here we go. I like that quite a bit. Now I'm thinking about it. Like a storm host that focuses on what they've lost, you know, in order to defend their realms. I'm on board. The cost of glory. Let's see, Nikos. So I have a huge death collection from models from back in the 80s until the current range. I was wondering whether there are any more sites other than eBay to fill the gaps in my collection. Well, you can do a few things. You can go, obviously eBay is probably the best, just because there's always people trying to sell and, you know, wheel and deal and that kind of stuff. There's also Miniswap on Reddit. Just do your due diligence, and check up on the people you buy things from before you spend money, just to make sure you're not going to get scammed. But I have done Miniswap stuff twice now and I've never had a problem. Then there's also there are Facebook groups, and I don't have a link to it, and I apologize, but if you look it up or shoot me a message later, I can get it to you. But there's one called like Old Hammer, where it's a bunch of guys who just trade, sell, collect, just that, just old Hammer stuff, old Warhammer sculpts, things that are out of print, and it's pretty cool actually, for collectors. So it's not stuff that interests me, so I don't know a ton about that community, but it is out there. So there are people who definitely really favor some of those classic, you know, nostalgia-driven sculpts, that kind of stuff. So right now we're adding black soot to everything because our house is on fire, or at least it was at some point. And I'm going to show you how I do my quick and dirty embers effect here. So yeah, right now we're just piling on the soot, making it nice and charry. Let's see. We all saw Star Wars, David. That's super cool. You should pick up the Bugman KO model. Oh yeah. I was wondering, in theory crafting, could the Everwinter of the Ogres be connected to the frost magic of the old world? It was said to have a source. Oh, could they have eaten it? I mean, I would be down for that. Honestly, the Everwinter has always been a sore spot for me as someone who... How do I word this? I am not one of those nerds who holds the lore in like a mythical esteem, right? You get those folks like, you can't change the lore in 40k, that kind of... I am not one of those folks. I don't care if it changes. I don't care how wild it gets. I'm just along for the ride. But I am somebody who really loves trying to share and teach people things. I'm a teacher by... That's my spirit, I guess. Now, the reason I bring all that up is because I don't like the Everwinter as it is explained currently, because there is almost no explanation. And it's very hard to communicate with people if they're just like, hey, there's this big storm. Why is there a big storm? You know, I mean, I've never really been on board with that aspect of it, and I just never really liked it. It could be cool. Like, you're asking me like about your theory? That's a great theory. Like, I would, if that was in the battle tome, I'd be like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, good on you. Go for it. But just the lack of information I find very, very frustrating as someone who just loves to explain things to people and get folks excited about things. I think the Everwinter is probably the weakest for me right now in terms of like Age of Sigmar lore. I think that's the weakest place right now. Just because it's just... Games Workshop has demonstrated that they're very good at leaving things mysterious, but they just didn't do that for them. Like, so my default answer is, or reference is like the Beasts of Chaos book, where that's a great mystery for their origins because it presents to you several different, possibilities, and scholars are debating this and that and all these kinds of things. But at the end of the day, they don't really answer where the Beasts of Chaos come from. It's still a mystery, but they did it in such a way that it makes it intriguing, even though there's not an answer. Okay, so with that done, now we move on to Corn Red. Thoughts on what realm Slaanesh would go for should they return in full might? Yeah, I would probably say Hish. Hish is where if I was in charge of writing Slaanesh's return, that's where I would go. How about that? So now we're just building some red into these tones. Actually, I'm going to wash this out right quick just to get some of that black out of there. I didn't realize how much I had loaded on there. It wasn't dry brushing a whole lot, but the second I added the corn red, it was like, black corn red. No! There we go. Yeah, I would probably agree. I'd probably say Hish would be my jam for it. What we're doing is just adding warmth into the burnt wood here. This is my lazy man's way of making fiery embers and that kind of stuff. So just hang with me. You'll see. It'll come to life. It'll brighten up. Make it look like the building is dangerous to be in. I think that's kind of what I want to do. That way, that's my way of getting out of painting the interior. Oh, you don't want to be in that building. That place is falling apart. It's on fire. Better not put an objective marker there. Okay. Got some of those roof bits here. Hey Doug, can you explain all the realms and their names? Okay, so you just list off what the realms are like and their name. Okay, so first off, I could do that real quick. So Akshi, realm of fire. Akshi is the name of the magic lore surrounding fire. They are obviously known for fiery things. You got lava, you got volcanoes and stuff, but understand that every realm within it has every single biome, meaning they all have forests and mountains and snow-peaked, canyons and all these kinds of crazy things. So even though it's there, it doesn't mean that's all there is. Beyond that, people in Akshi tend to live short lives and be very, very aggressive in their nature and temperament and impatient and all these kinds of things. The kind of stuff you'd expect for something that's fire themed. So there's that. Actually, let me just explain all the realms. All the realms are discs that are more stable in the center and get more wild and crazy the further out you go. So the center of every realm, barring Shyish for some lore reasons, is very, very stable, almost like a Tolkien-esque thing, very traditional fantasy, but when you go further out towards the edges, things get rough. So for Akshi, everything's fire themed, and people are aggressive and that kind of stuff. When you move into something else, let's see. Let me run through them real quick. So there's Akshi, there's Ghiran, realm of life, which is verdant forests and nature and all that kind of stuff. Chaman, realm of metal. So you have a lot of mineral resources and that kind of stuff. You have Gur, which is realm of beasts. Lots of big predator and prey monsters and that kind of stuff. That's my favorite realm. You have Olgil, which is realm of shadows. So a lot of things about illusion and deception and that kind of stuff. You have Hish, realm of light, which is the counter of that. It's just a lot about literal illumination of the mind. So education, intelligence, that kind of stuff. Then you have Shyish, realm of death, which is basically, it's a realm. People live there. It's totally cool. But below the earth of it, there's like little pocket realms where every afterlife exists. So if you die and you believe in, I don't know, Valhalla, there will be a Valhalla that's created for you there. We're going to take a little bit of Kindle Flame here. And we're just going to lightly brush the edges. This is like an extreme highlight. Might even just tap it just to give a little color. And Kindle Flame, a little bit goes a long way. It's a dry paint. Okay. And then, I'm sorry, the last one is Azir. Which is the realm of heavens, which is where Sigmar is, and all the good guys tend to hide away from the forces of chaos. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this building. I like it. Now I'm going to go through with some wash and just pick out all the cracks and stuff in the walls. Hey Doug, where do you live? I live in eastern Iowa. Do you know any cool players in Philly? I do not, sadly. My travels have not brought me to Philadelphia since I was a wee boy living in Jersey. I've been everywhere in this country, my goodness. Let's see. We'll take out my gross stipple brush here. Let's see. I don't like it when a unit or a whole faction has a weird gimmick like the Everwinter. It's restrictive because every story that includes that unit kind of has to include the gimmick. I'd agree with that. Kind of wondering if realm symbols are tied to something like Akshi's symbol is the key of secrets. Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know. Because, I mean, those things got ported over from Fantasy Battle, so I don't actually know a ton, if I'm honest. What MM did you choose for the building? MM. MM. I don't know. I need you to explain that one, Chris. Sorry, buddy. I don't understand the question. Let's see. Let's get this brush. Okay. In Fantasy, one of my favorite concepts was the Carnival of Nurgle. Yeah. They were pretty stinking cool. I've seen pictures from folks who play with those kinds of things online. They're rad looking, creepy as all hell. What I'm doing right now is just adding a little bit of darkness and value to the cracks and crevices and that kind of stuff. And we'll see if I need to do a second layer. I think some of the deepest parts I think are definitely worthy of a second coat. But all in all, I gotta say this thing is turning out. I like it. What do you think we may see next with the Skaven? That's a great question. And I'm just gonna say I do not know. I'll be honest. I'll give you more than I don't know. I don't understand Games Workshop's handling of the Skaven intellectual property. And the reason I say that is, it is quite truly one of their most iconic and unique IPs that they have access to. Because, I mean, like, there are other fantasy settings that have rat men, but not in the same context as, like, Games Workshops. Who have their own very unique culture and all this kinds of stuff. And so I don't get why we haven't gotten more into that. So my point is, I don't understand what their goal is with them specifically. Like, what are you waiting for? What do you want? I know players definitely want new sculpts, new models, new story arcs, that kind of stuff, because Skaven features so prominently as really good villains in so many stories. And so it's just like, I don't get what y'all want. Like, what do you know, it's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Predator, which I bring up way too much, where he's just like, come on, do it. You know, everyone's just waiting for the obvious thing, and then they're like, no. You're like, no, come on, why? Okay. Man, that looks rad. You know, there's not many times where I'm like, man, Doug, pat yourself on the back, go have a cold one with the boys. You nailed this, right? I just took a hammer and I nailed it. Not many times in my life that I am that confident, but I gotta say, I'm feeling good today. And I'm just going to darken the recesses between these boards here. Let's see. The reason we haven't seen the Skaven exist exactly is it's just a rumor. Give it no mind. Oh man, I love that in what is it? End Times Thankful is actually one of the first Warhammer books I ever bought. It's still one of my absolute favorites. It got lost in the move, unfortunately, but they're like telling each other like, oh, Skaven aren't real. That's just a myth. Like, literally as the city is falling apart by Skaven, because nobody was like looking around paying attention to what was going on. I was like, oh, that's so cool. It is weirdly like humans to not pay attention to what's going on around them, and literally as the city's falling apart. I was like, oh man, that hits hard in 2021. Nice. Okay. I just want to add a little bit more shadow to some of these ones that are a little bit more pronounced. Because some of them, they're more than just... They're more like cracks than they are like deep blemishes. So we'll just go through and just trace a line straight through them. I'm hoping my buddy Robbie, I'm playing Warcry with him hopefully next weekend, and I am really hoping that he likes this stuff. Because we've been playing so far with using the cards to design the tables and that kind of stuff, but I kind of want to move away from that, if I'm honest with you. Making your own tables is half the fun in games like Mordheim and Necromunda and all that kind of stuff. Just one little plank right there. All right. Sweet. That guy you know says F. Did I lose you? Video is lagging severely, audio is fine. Weird. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll just give it a hot second to try and catch up here. It's a good looking piece of terrain. Thank you, buddy. I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube. It's acting all funny on my end too. What I will do is just show this to you here, and then I'm probably going to hop off. But so we got here. what you got here is your standard blown out building. There is actually a stairway that connects to this, and so it's just a separate piece. I'm going to just do all the little bits and bobs, like the little accessory pieces like that separately. But yeah, so we have a sweet looking building. Got our nice worn out walls. I like this quite a bit. It's a good contrast to the what is it called? The Shabtu bone wall that I had put together. There we go. It's back to normal. Seems to be. And as we turn the building around, you can see the interior. And so I did just a little bit of red and some kindle flame here on the edges to make it look like there's a little crackle of life, some warmth from the fire that tore it through it. Honestly, it would probably look like a meteor came from like this direction and just clobbered the side of the building, but whatever. So yeah, little hints of blue on the roof to make it like a nice, cute little cottage at one point. And now it's just part of a flaming hellscape. So, you know, another day in the Mortal Realms. I'm probably going to throw some posters on the wall and that kind of stuff, just with like PVA glue, and kind of add some little extra bits to it. But all in all, this guy is done, and that's nice. Now, the only other thing that I painted that day, or started painting, I should say, is this watchtower. Alone in the watchtower. Okay, here we go. Get that out of the way. So yeah, as you can see, he's got like a ladder. Again, it's a separate piece that'll just glue in there at some point. You know, these models would be perfect for D&D. Like if you played with very, like you actually used miniature terrain and that kind of stuff. I've never seen a game where someone sounded like Doug was rapping. Oh, no, I was singing. I was singing All Alone in the Watchtower. Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, so here's my building, and I'm really just gonna dry brush the wood on it just to make it pop. But honestly, I'm not doing much with this. This one will have a bunch of posters and stuff all over the sides. Might even do some blood splatter just to make something a little more interesting. But truthfully, not much is going. This is meant to. Oops. Sorry for the noise. Didn't mean to. Sorry, everybody, if that was really loud. Let me see if I can knock this out real quick here. We got that. We got... Let's see. Okay, yeah, we'll throw down some Gorthor brown and then an extreme highlight with a Shabti just to pick out the hard edges. I may have missed it, but what's the schedule for these relaxing broadcasts? Well, Michael, first of all, hey buddy, how you doing, buddy? Glad to have you. So I do a stream just like this every Friday at 10 o'clock my time. So that's 10 Central Standard Time in the good old US of A. So you can catch me every single week doing that. I took 2 weeks off just for the holidays because things got crazy, but that's well past beyond us now. So yeah, every Friday, and then randomly, honestly, it takes so long to make the videos that I make throughout the week that if I have time and I get ahead of schedule and that kind of stuff, then I will just flick on the camera and just hang out and paint with people. So that one's a little bit more random, a little harder to nail down because it kind of changes week to week. But if you go ahead and click subscribe and hit the bell notification thing, it'll tell you every single time I'm live. It'll be like, yo, Doug's doing stuff. I assume that's how YouTube sounds if it were a person that could talk. Okay. Now my thing is, okay, for you guys who play, I'm going to broaden it out. We're going to say Warcry, Frostgrave, really any kind of miniatures game that's like a warband specific thing. If a unit wanted to move through or into this building, okay, would you make them measure everything? For example, like if I put the thing back together and they wanted to move into it and reach the roof, would you actually like have them move floor to floor, or would you just measure the height of the building and be like, okay, it'll take that much distance to get to the top? The reason I ask is I just cannot fathom an instance where I need this building to be able to collapse into 4 different pieces, right? It seems like it could be glued together for easy transport and storage, just to make it a more solid object, but I don't know. So you guys tell me, what do you think? Especially if I used crappy glue and I could just pop it right off. Okay, so that one's good. Measure the height for the sake of speed of play. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Look at me. Me and Slanesh saves. We're on the same page. We get it. This guy, he gets it. And just doing a light dry brush, picking out the wood. Magnets. But I'm so impatient. I just like having things done. That's my only problem with magnets, where I'm just like, I don't wanna. That's more time. I become very whiny when I have to do something I don't want to. I'm quite insufferable in real life. My wife will tell you. No, she's a saint. She puts up with me. Even though I do stuff just to drive her nuts sometimes. And I'm just working in the lighter brown really good on the wood parts. We have to go back with metal and kind of pick out the bars and the doorknob and that kind of stuff. But we can do that later. That's a minor detail. People try to be pioneers and need something a bit stronger than an umbrella. Oh, you're near the edge of the realm. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so let me ask the chat here. So I have a few ideas for videos, but while we're just wasting time as I dry brush, thought I'd ask the chat. So for videos this coming week, so next week, not tomorrow, but I had some videos planned for Soulbound, where I was going to basically pick the factions that come in the core book and talk about them from a lore perspective for people who probably don't know about them. So, like, I'll give you an example. An example would be like, I'm going to pick Duarden, okay? And we're going to talk about what Fire Slayers and what Kharadron Overlords are. And kind of their background and what those specific units that you can, or archetypes in Soulbound is what they call them, that you can play as, what their motivations would be and that kind of stuff. Is that something you would like to see? Because it's what I had planned, but I thought I might just ask first. Because it would be Age of Sigmar centric. It would basically be informing new players of, like, you know, this is the values and stuff of these races and that kind of thing. So personally, I thought it was a good idea. Not just for Soulbound, but also just for Age of Sigmar in general, just people who aren't used to those factions. That guy, love it. Sweet. Played my first game last night. If my skeletons have 2-inch reach, do they all have to pile in as close as possible? If so, what's the point of the longer reach? Well, Michael, that's a great question. So basically, the longer reach is important for big units because it allows more guys to get in there. So if you have, we're gonna illustrate this with paint pots here. Pretend that's a circular base, and you have a guy behind it. Now, if you had a 1-inch reach, and you had your models kind of a little bit of gap in between them, the guy in the second row wouldn't be able to hit because there's that little bit of gap and that kind of stuff. But if he had a 2-inch long spear, then he could. And so, yes, you always want to pile in. It's part of the combat step. But basically, the point of the 2-inch reach is that more guys can get in there. That's basically it. So the longer a unit's reach is, the more likely they are to actually contribute to any combat that the unit is in. Which on skeletons can be really nasty because you can get some monstrously huge units that you can be slinging a lot of dice. Okay, so my trick when it comes to highlighting wood pieces is I tend to do circular little dry brushes, but only where people actually walk. and the hard edges, because that would be the place that's most worn. And we'll just pick out some of the edges from the top here. Quick and dirty. Okay. Just kind of even that out a little bit. We'll kind of work the color. If you hear some weird slamming, please forgive me. It's the snow clearing guys outside my house. We had some. It was weird. We had 2 snowstorms recently. In the first one, they were like really on the ball about cleaning up. And then the second one, they've just been dragging their heels, and I don't know if it's like a mechanical issue in terms of, like, I'm not assuming they're lazy or anything like that, but it's just been a rough time trying to get the roads all clear in my complex. Nice. Okay. Yep, so that's going to go there. Yeah, we can pick that out a little more. Here we go. Let's see. Sorry I've asked, but where is the scenery from? Yeah, if you follow the link in the description below, it goes to a site called 3D Egos. They are a printing company out of Cali, California, if you are not from the U.S. Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. They are a sponsor of the channel. You can use the coupon code 2+Tough in the description to save 25%, which actually makes getting a table of terrain extremely affordable, because turns out buying only Games Workshop terrain is pricey as hell. So I like them for that. I'm just gonna very lightly get the top edges really for this, because all we really care about. Okay. Let's see. Pricey, you mean bankrupting? Yes. Yeah. And honestly, my biggest thing with them is that the 40K terrain I'm actually more okay with, because they call it Sector Mechanicus, which is their design base of, like, everything kind of works together for the most part. In terms of, like, there's not a lot of times where you have to wonder, if I buy this kit, will it line up with this other thing of terrain in 40K? Because generally they do. But when it comes to AOS, I find the designs very scattered. Like, it's like they couldn't decide on a cohesive design for anything. And so, like, you'll have, like, oh, there's a Sylvaneth tree over there. Here's a weird metal dais. Over there, there's, like, a blood fort tower that's covered in skulls. And you're like, where the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, there's no place in the lore that has all these weird, desperate things. And that, just chalk it up to that. It's just like, it's a very incoherent range. Or it lacks cohesion. There we go. That's probably the better way to say it. And I'm just picking out the big old fat rivets on this sucker. Not working too hard on the detail or anything like that. I mean, they really are like huge rivets. Alright, and for the top one, I will get the interior pretty well done, just because it's the part you will actually see, as opposed to the interior of the building, which I'm pretty much dead set on just gluing up and being like, yeah, you just move a distance and you're on top of the building. I don't care. One of the games of Warcry I had when I was actually back in Washington, we ran into a situation where someone put an objective, like, on a platform, right? So like a second tier of a building, and it was all just with the base terrain from the core set. And we reached a position where it's like, wait a minute, the Ironjawz player who just has a bunch of brutes literally cannot get up there with his movement value, and so we're like, okay, house rule, if you're at the base of it, you just get to go up. I don't care anymore. Like, we have to have a way for every player to like have fun in this game. But it's just because the movement value on the brutes was so low that it was just a weird position. It's hard to explain, but yeah, they reached a point where he just like literally could not get up there, and I was like, that's not cool. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say he gets up there. He believes in himself just hard enough. Okay, no bolts there, no bolts there. Then we just got the door. No holes everywhere, exactly. Do you think the Soulbounds will be introduced into the general setting of AOS like in a war game one day? I don't know, but I would love to, because that would be a unit with incredible rules, right? Because the idea is that they are all like god powered, not that they have the power of the god, but like that they've all been infused with soul fire and all these kinds of crazy buffs and that kind of stuff. So it would be, I'd imagine it would probably function a lot like a Warhammer Underworlds unit, where it's just, you know, individual heroes that have to be taken together kind of a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so much freedom in character creation that I don't know if they could create a war scroll that would encapsulate, you know, what the options are available to Soulbound. Unless, like, you know, I mean, unless Games Workshop made a model agnostic unit, in which case I don't see that happening. But, yeah, I don't know. Because you have stuff like Fire Slayers and KO and Deepkin and, you know, I mean, I would love it if it was almost like Kill Team, where the way you build the unit, each option or each dude in the unit brings a special rule. If you guys have seen how Kill Teams work in 40k for Deathwatch, like it's pretty cool, like in terms of like list design and stuff. But I think that would be really hard to translate well into AOS. Could do Soulbound groups like old Dogs of War too. That'd be cool. That would be cool. One of the things that we never really see anymore, it was actually one of the first events that I saw, and I think it's Regiments of Renown was the rules from Fantasy Battles, where basically you go to a tournament, right? You build your, if we're talking like AOS equivalents here, you build your standard 2,000 point army. It has to be legal and everything like that. And then you get a free unit of like, you know, whatever the TO says. So in this case, it was 20 models. And they have the same stat line. Like everybody gets your army list plus a free unit with this specific stat line. Okay, and it gives you everything. 4s to hit, 4s to wound, 4-up save, that kind of stuff. Just gives it to you for free. And over the course of the event, depending on how that unit does, their stats change, they get special rules and that kind of stuff. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. I saw it being run by a group called Dimensional Cascade out there in Seattle area. Really cool guys. And I was like, that is such an interesting mix of narrative, but like crunchy rules. Like it was unequivocally equal for everybody, right? It was just a standard tournament list, but it's fair because everybody got the exact same unit, and how you change that unit over time is reflective of your army and all this kinds of stuff. It was really cool. I was kind of surprised by the concept of Soulbound when they came out, kind of out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, they kind of made it seem like special forces, right? Like this is you pick mortals who can do jobs for us. And it did kind of come out of nowhere. I'll give you that one. But on the whole, I like it because it gives motivation for having these disparate factions work together. Just got a few more nails here. think we're just about done. I gotta throw a quick wash on these doors. But that's like, it's like looking good. Yeah, I don't like the way this thing, it topples over way too easily. So I am going to glue it down and we'll just measure out, but I can't imagine anybody would really care. But I do like it. And I'll wait to glue it until I have the ladder built, because that way it'll look complete. But yeah, I do like this. This is a good looking building. Like I said, we'll throw some wall art, posters, and that kind of stuff up on the walls. I need to get this with brown. I missed a door or a window away. Yeah. Okay, let me get that real quick. Let's see. Always a good time. Later, everyone. See you, buddy. I'm almost done too, so you're not missing much. I'm just... don't know how I missed this, but it happens. Alright, with that. Apparently all the guards participated, so it'd be funny to see a Nagash or a Gorka Morka one. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I love the concept. A part of me wishes it was just introduced earlier. Like, I would have loved to have read books about it. To my knowledge, I can't think of any Soulbound specific. Is there a novel about Soulbound stuff? Honestly, I can't keep up with Black Library's, like, release rate, so it could have totally come out, because honestly, if I leave like notifications on for that stuff, my phone just blows up with a bunch of 40k things, and I'm like, I can't handle this. It's too many notifications going on, so I just muted it, unsubscribed from their newsletter. And I just imagine binding with 2 orcs and a dwarf. Oh man, okay. Well, friends, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it done. We got our cool looking building here. That's showing up pretty well on screen, yeah. And then our watchtower. Cue my bad singing of All Alone in the Watchtower. Looks in good. Here we go. Here's the side, our stairway. Oh, actually, I need to dry brush the floorboards in there. But anyway, in Spear of Shadows, they could have been Soulbound. Agreed. Yep, that would have been a great place to have some Soulbound stuff in Spear of Shadows. Honestly, that whole premise is it is Soulbound without using Soulbound. Because, like, yeah, because what's his bucket? Grugny brings them all together for a mission. I'm like, that is technically what the other gods are doing. So Elrit, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. You win. You win, buddy. That's a great shout out. Appreciate the Skaven talk. Oh yeah. I'm sorry I couldn't answer anymore. I don't. I know very little, just in general and also about Skaven, but I'm glad that we could entertain, if nothing else. Man, I felt so confident that I was done, and now I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh man, there's all kinds of screws in there I gotta pick out. That's alright, it'll take 2 seconds. There we go. I like how there's like nails in all kinds of weird places. Like this was just not a well put together guard tower. There's like, throw it up there. Alright, my friends, we are done. Donezo. I'll catch you all later. I'll probably do more Hobby Hang live streams this week, and I'll try to get the announcement stuff out there, like, you know, set the alarm to remind y'all early as I can. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a great week of lore and excitement and storytelling and all kinds of stuff, so I look forward to y'all joining me for it. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming, my friends.